got, the creator of the show talking about it. You've got
wait. Did you notice that the opening credits of this movie are the opening credits for the Truman Show?
Yes.
Like it doesn't go
I
Jim
didn't realize
Carrey
that.
as Truman such and such. It
Yes.
just says it's Truman. What's his name? Harbor Burbank. Yeah,
Yes.
one of those.
That was me?
Yeah. Truman Burbank as
Oh,
himself, and then it was such and such as Meryl Burbank. It was all they're acting. It's weird because I caught that. I was like, holy shit! I never
so
noticed
the
that.
person who plays Meryl,
Laura Linney is the one who plays her, but she plays somebody else playing Meryl. So she's the dude playing the dude disguised as
another dude.
Welcome back to another episode of Family Reelz. We are back with another episode of Carrey No Comedy. We are doing wait, what? Okay, I forgot. Who picked this one?
I did.
Jonna. Good old Jonna.
No regrets.
No regrets at all. Yeah. Why did you pick this one?
Well, because this is the first one that came to mind.
Oh,
this is the first.
This is the first one.
Huh?
You said it was the first one that came to mind?
Yeah, it's the first movie that I've seen that's not comedy of him. So I thought it'd be a good choice because it's different.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of concept.
Yeah. And I had a lot of questions about it. What movie are we doing? Since we haven't even said it at all.
Oh, the Truman Show.
And I mean, since we're here, Jonna, would you do it the honors?
So this is, I don't know how to sum this up. It's just about a dude he doesn't realize he is not in a real world. That's all I can say.
Fair enough. Oh no, what happened? Okay. Oh Jesus.
It's a heck of a description, but yeah.
It was an interesting description because if you did try to describe this movie, like, I don't know, I'd be like, yeah, it's like the precursor to bad reality TV because this is essentially the closest thing to like reality TV that will ever that can ever actually happen. And I honestly think that
except the only one it was a reality.
Hello. She's gone.
Yep.
Frozen. No. All right, we'll keep going, Jonna. But what I was saying is this is probably the closest thing to an actual like reality show that we could have gotten.
Yeah.
And I think that if
she's gone.
I think if this movie never happens, somebody tries to do this.
Right?
I feel like it's like the next logical step because we had the Real World around this time. It was really like the only non-competitive reality show. So somebody was gonna be like, what
Big Brother?
Yeah, but even they all knew they were being watched. You know what I mean? They think that's the biggest difference between like Big Brother and the Real World and this is everybody knows they're being watched. He's the only one who doesn't. That's why I was like, this is the closest to actual reality TV.
Yeah.
Because even the Real World was like, while it was the closest thing to like real situations because they actually got real people, put them in a place, and then just watch that shit explode. They also prodded too. They also controlled the situations. They put them in different places to make different things happen. Otherwise, it would have been boring. Like, who wants to watch a show with just a bunch of people getting along the whole time? Like, that's whack. They have to throw monkey wrenches in there.
They have to conflict. I mean, but to be honest, that's not that hard to get in real life.
Well, no,
especially putting people in scenarios together.
But I do think that when you put people in ideal, like the Real World, they were given luscious houses. And, they weren't working for anything. They were partying half the time, and that's when all the conflict happens anyway.
Yeah,
but you have to put that situation there. They're the ones who are like, "Hey guys,
are we sure?"
But even then, it's like, Yeah, you're basically placing a powder keg inside of a lighting, like inside of an active fire. That's intentional. None of that stuff is like organic. They're like, we're gonna put them in this nightclub. We know they're gonna get into some shit with somebody.
Yeah.
That's the way it is.
Put some alcohol in there. And...
Oh yeah.
You know it's gonna turn.
Go wrong with like with Jersey Italians and alcohol. It just I feel like you can't go wrong. It's gonna happen.
Wow.
But even then, like, because everybody in reality shows are trying to like essentially spin off into something bigger for the most part, because they know what they're here for. They know this isn't like your acting debut or anything like that. It's like, how can I make myself enduring to the public to finagle this into a career of some sort?
Right.
I don't know a lot of people who have done it well, who have done it successfully, except for maybe like The Miz. Because, you know, when he was on The Real World, he wanted to be a pro wrestler. Now look at him.
He was? Oh, I didn't know that.
I know that.
The first season they did in Los Angeles, he was on there.
Okay.
And he was an active wrestling fan. He was huge. He said one day he was going to be in the WWF at the time.
Really?
Wow.
And now he's one of the biggest. So congrats.
Good for him.
I don't know. There's not a whole lot of other people I know who have finagled it unless they were already doing something beforehand.
Yeah.
Because there's people who have been on reality TV who had something already, and then
but that's different.
Bigger. Yeah, it's different.
Well, Cardi B.
Well, that's what. But she was known before she got on there. She just not wasn't.
She's more locally known,
but more,
She's because strippers are celebrities now.
Well, not just that, but she had an Instagram. But after she was on there, that just blew up. That blew it up.
And before that, it just took it, because if she didn't even have that, she wouldn't have been there to get that.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
most of those people on those shows have something. They're not.
Yeah. Except, I don't know about the Real World type. That one, not. They were pulling just common folks at that time.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of those dudes just go into casting calls like, "Hey, we need you on the show. Do you have any kind of personality quirk?" Like, it's
Well, back on the path of the show, though, the movie. I mean, yeah, you know what I mean. Show, movie, yeah, you get it. But it's not that situation. It's only one person who doesn't know.
That's what makes it worse.
Yeah. Jonna said she didn't notice that.
What?
The product placement.
Oh my God, it's everywhere.
I noticed some of it, like the obvious stuff, but I didn't notice like some other little things.
You can't drink or eat anything unless it's turned to the camera. Like, I'll watch it again, especially the beer. The beer is.
He's like, some of this beer.
You don't even have to say
let's talk about
label out.
Let's talk about the beginning. Starting off from the beginning, it's like it starts off with
Christoph.
Christoph. He's the creator of this whole thing, and he's talking about how people are sick of special effects and stuff. They want to see something real, which in this case it is real for one person, and that's Truman, the main character, played by Jim Carrey. And you see clips of him. He's in the mirror. He's doing a morning routine where he talks to himself, and
because he's a weirdo
in the mirror, which he doesn't realize there's a camera. He's completely.
I was gonna say, because there's a camera literally
everywhere.
And it's
everywhere.
And it's funny to me because it's like, obviously he's in this movie and he doesn't see it, but I'm like, this dude with the trash can, come on, man.
Maybe just like he's got a weird trash can.
Why is he holding the rollable trash can like that? Like, it's such a weird thing, and it's got the big black hole right there in
the movie. I mean, this is later on. He mentioned.
But I think what that plays on is the fact that he has no real life experience, but that's even be able to say that's weird.
That's what gets brought up later on in the movie.
Like, all trash cans look like this.
Yeah, it's his reality. This is, especially if he lived there for a while, he knows that's a weird old man or whatever with his weird dog. Running up, like.
Well, I want to go back to the part you were saying, because what he says, like when he's like, oh, people want to see real stuff, because what he says is we become born with actors because we're aware that it's fake.
Mm-hmm.
And to a degree, That's kind of true. It goes back to that boom in reality television because
that's why. Yeah, because what do they say? Truth is stranger than fiction.
Yeah, it was true. Yeah, sure, but
So you got the creator of the show talking about it. You've got wait.
Did you notice that the opening credits of this movie are the opening credits for the Truman Show?
Yes.
Like it doesn't go Jim Carrey
that.
as Truman such and such. Yeah. It just says it's Truman. What's his name? Harbor Burbank. Yeah, one of those. Yeah. Truman Burbank as himself, and then it was such and such as Meryl Burbank. It was all they're acting. It's weird because I caught that. I was like, holy shit! I never noticed.
So the person who plays Meryl. The person who plays Meryl.
Laura Linney is the one who plays her, but she plays somebody else playing Meryl. So she's the dude playing the dude disguised as
another dude. They got her, which is his wife in this show, and she knows she's playing the character of wife, and she's like, the Truman Show is my life. And you've got the guy who plays his best friend. He's like, wait, he said something distinctly, and trying to remember it, but he was like,
I didn't write it down because it didn't seem important.
He wasn't but he's like, yeah, something. It's just this is placed like that, but other than that, it's real.
Well, that's what he said.
Yeah, it's like they were. Well, the thing was, everybody was trying to justify. It
seems innocent, kind of,
instead of because basically he was being asked. Then this is what they weren't showing, that he was being interviewed at first, but basically, what people's criticism is about the show, saying
because now I'm remembering it. You're right. What he says is it's not he's not being manipulated. The situation's just being controlled.
Yeah.
And that was like the biggest difference in how he does.
Semantics is what that is.
Yeah. So it starts off his morning routine. He goes outside. He greets the neighbors across the street, the little black family, and he's like, "Hey, can't I see you?
Good morning, good evening, and good night. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night."
What the hell of a catch? Like you could easily market that. That'd be on a T-shirt. Like, why did they not show I felt like there should have been a thing. Like they didn't show enough of the outside to where it shows the effect, just the people watching it. But I felt like there were T-shirts probably sold and action stuff like that. Like that, I wanted to see more of that machine. That way I could really hate this guy.
Right? What a jerk. He should have been making more money.
He was a psycho jerk is what he was.
Like Ed Harris.
He felt totally justified.
He did.
So and that's when I was like noticing the guy, or with the trash can with the camera in it and talking to him, and then the dog comes and
jumps up on him and stuff like that.
Dalmatians are vicious, man. Golly.
I know, especially that one scared me. I'm like, dang, I thought he was gonna bite him.
And then after that scene is when whatever that is, it's like some camera thing falls.
Yeah, the light falls.
He crashes to the ground. And he's like looking around.
You see what happened after the news report? It's like, hey,
he's like, a plane was losing parts.
He was like, oh, okay, I guess that makes sense. Like, man,
that makes sense. Yeah,
quick. They were on it, bro.
Yeah, so, like they knew the news of stuff way too fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't. You can't explain. You got to give it time so he could be like, let him think he's like,
so people could talk about it first.
But I guess that's normal for him because
again,
I guess the mishaps that happen easily get. There's an easy
explanation. Obviously, there have been things over the years, and because some people were trying to, infiltrate and let him know ever since he was a kid.
Right. Yeah.
So, but again, if he has no other experience outside of this world, then to us it looks strange, but to him, it's just a part of life. He's like, oh, okay, they're crazy people
just normal day,
random stuff,
Yeah, but that's to me, that's the crazier part of the whole thing, because it becomes like, you don't know anything, but everybody has to be weird because the day, he's going on his way to work, these dudes push him up against a billboard because it's an ad. Like, you know what I mean? They're making sure it gets in the shot.
That's the one that she didn't. That's the one she didn't realize.
I didn't realize that they were trying to get the ad shot.
He was like, "Hey, yeah," he pushes him right against the billboard, and he was like,
"Maybe he's probably used to it. This is his morning routine. They're always bombarding him."
That's what I'm saying, because this happens.
But he's used to things being routine,
and that would freak me out because.
But that would freak you out because you don't know that kind of routine in your life.
But even then, I feel like just as a human being, like doing the same.
Think about it. Think about it.
That's the thing. If we look at how it progresses, there's things, and I think it alludes to the fact that he's always felt something throughout his life. You know what I mean?
But he's like, okay, this is the way the world works.
Put his finger on it if he don't know that there's something different than that. And that's the thing.
The whole town, literally, they walk the same trail. You know, they got their same positions that they start from, and they go about doing the same thing. He walks past the same people. He says hi to the same people. Gets the same magazine from the little kiosk.
Yeah.
And so everything seems normal. He's going into work like normal, and he does things that I guess he thinks that is unnoticeable.
By the time the movie starts, we're coming into him starting to, I guess, almost question things, or like why is he peeling away that magazine? He's trying to get to something, and it's like stuff he's already noticing.
But that part, yeah, he's already been working on that. When he rips and he's at work and he gets the magazine, he coughs. He's like, yeah. he rips the eyes off of the face of a model in a magazine or whatever.
Right.
Which kind of screams serial killer, but it's okay, I guess.
Yeah, but it is kind of weird, and you don't know why he's doing it at first. Right. But
it all comes together in the end.
Yeah, it comes together eventually.
And then when he's at work, and then his boss, and they always they try to, because they know, back to human nature. See, he's got this desire to see what's beyond, what is it called? Sea Haven? What's beyond Sea Haven Island. And they're trying to make him do everything they can to make him not want to.
No, what we missed was he was making a call.
He was trying to get to Fiji.
Yeah, he was talking about trying to get to Fiji, and they're not his boss. It was his coworker. He's listening in because they all know this is what he does a lot.
Well, that's all they have to do is know what he's doing.
Hey, they're making cutbacks. You got to work hard. They're making cutbacks by the end of the month. You got to work hard or whatever.
And then he tells him he needs to go to the place where he has to take the boat.
It's on an island, yeah. But that's the thing. It never amounts to anything. He doesn't do what he was supposed to do for these cutbacks and all that stuff, and he still doesn't get fired.
Right.
Like, because I think he knows he wants to cut and run out of where he's at anyway. He's got this desire.
Well, no, what I'm saying is when they send him on that errand because he won't go across water. They know that. And the whole point is just to remind him, like, hey, in order to get anywhere, you got to go across the water.
Yeah, you're not going nowhere.
And he's like, I can't do it. And then all of a sudden,
it's so funny. He walks up to the boat and he's like stressing out. He's like,
until he sees that halfway sunken boat. They know what they're doing. And then the funniest part to me in that whole scene was the dude watching him. The dude,
the kiosk guy selling ticket.
Yeah, the dude who sold him the ticket was just like, his whole head.
He's like, "You okay?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm fine."
No, you guys go without me. I'm good.
Yeah.
And then that's when he goes back home. We don't he doesn't spend any time at this job, so it's kind of like irrelevant here. But he's at home doing stuff, and his wife is doing ads for the knife.
Oh, she's like, this knife, it cuts up everything.
And like, okay.
That's just weird as heck.
That's
and
cool,
then
I guess.
that's when his friend comes over with the beer.
Marlon.
Or they meet. They went to the.
No, he met him later.
He met him later. That's right. They went to the little place they go at the end of the road.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah. But he's talking to him about Fiji. He's talking to him about Fiji. And it's like, that's crazy. You know, he's trying to kind of convince him.
The thing the best part about this is like the dude, Marlon, he's the one who's playing it smoother than everybody else. Because he's never like, don't go. He's just like, man, like, what else could you? And, you know, everything
and
is.
He asked him about when he went. Well, what about when you left
when you
or whatever? He's like, yeah, I've been all over, and honestly, there's
nothing like
no
home.
place like here.
He never plays it like never leave. He's just kind of like, I mean, you could if you wanted to, but for what?
Well, trying to downplay the fascination of leaving.
Yeah,
it's way more subtler than them trying to shove him across the river, or basically because there's billboards that be like, why would you ever want to leave?
Yeah.
The day he starts talking about Fiji, there's a paper who was like, who wants to go to Europe? It's so deadly.
Oh yeah, well,
it's like travel thing
from when
like,
he was young, and it's saying that what did it say? Like she had the map up there, and it's like there's nothing.
Oh, at that one part where he's like, I want to explore the world. She's like, it's too late. Everything's already explored.
But it's so much of that because there's like a poster. It was like travel things. It's like death, disease. Like it's all meant to scare him from ever leaving. Whereas just like you could easily do that better. Give him a better job. I don't know. Like give him a reason to actually want to stay. But there isn't one at all.
They can't create one. There's already so much production going on.
Well, I think they were trying to through Meryl.
Meryl, that's her name. Meryl.
Trying to work on having a baby because that would be something.
And I love how he immediately dismissed that. She was like, we can do that anytime. Like, what? Let's travel. Like, I love that. I love that he just said it like that. When she was like, I thought we were going to try and have a baby. Like, why do we have to do that now? We could do that anytime. Like, what?
You can see, like, immediately, like, he doesn't show a lot of interest in Meryl as his wife.
It's weird because you're right. He doesn't show interest, desire, love for in any kind of way. And you're just like, and then when the scene comes up, you're like, yeah, they were literally forced together.
Right.
It almost felt like every step of that way was just like, hey, you're here now. It's like, oh, I guess I'm at a wedding. Oh, it's my wedding. Like it never feels like he ever actually gives to. He even asked her when he's down in his trunk. She comes down. He goes, "What do you want?"
Yeah.
No. Yeah, he comes down and she's like advertising something else. What was she advertising? I forget.
She was just talking about the lawnmower.
Oh yeah.
She was like, we should get one of the new lawnmowers, such and such. He was like,
okay.
Right now.
Because he's like, again, he knows, he feels there's something that's just weird. Like, why are you even saying this? Like, it was.
But I guess he's used to people being weird.
Well, it comes back because
but it's starting to be like more weird, obviously.
Yeah.
That's why he's like, okay,
this is when things start to really break down. Yeah, because then he sees his dad as a whole, and he's just like, yo, what the fuck? And then two people, not even cops, no FBI, nothing, just two.
One lady with a puppy.
Yeah,
a lady with
she
a
just
dog.
Let's go to the puppy. She don't even care.
And then everything just starts crashing. Like he starts to realize, like, that's odd. Goes to his
they
mom.
drag him onto a bus.
Yeah, and then the bus won't stop. He's acting like he can't see anything. Like everything, even if you are born in this weird world, that's odd. So
well, nobody else. It's the thing. Things can make people crazy when nobody else is acting weird.
Yeah,
he's just like, what the
happened? Those two cars basically get in his way. Then they move, and everything goes about day as usual. Nothing happened, right? He goes to his mom, and then she immediately is like, "Oh, homeless." Like what? That's not. You can't just say that.
No, you know what's crazy? When she talks about, she's like, you know, your dad died in that boating accident. She's like, you dragged him out to the sea. I don't blame you though.
I've never blamed you, and I don't now.
Basically, to get him to stop, they tried to guilt. She used that guilt trip, and he stops asking. That's when he goes down to his locker to start looking at the pictures and stuff like that. And then we get to him asking his wife what she wants. You know what I mean? This is when we get the flashback. And this is why I believe he's always kind of known, because the flashbacks, other girl.
Well, he picks up a sweater.
Yeah,
he picks up the sweater, and that's when he gets the flashback. It's a random sweater. It's a girl sweater, and it has flashbacks.
Now, that's the only part that has gotten me, not just this time watching it, but every time I've seen it. It's like, how do they know? Is it because they pick up the sweater and they just do the memory?
Well, they do, but they know.
They 100% went to the flashback.
Right. of the real thing.
That was so weird. They cut that in there. But my thing is how much of that scene was the edit of the show and was actually him, because it felt like when they were showing the flashback, at first it's played as if, oh, this is what we remember, blah, blah, blah. And because even the lady,
but the people who were watching were watching.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because it goes, the lady was watching at the diner or whatever, the restaurant with their friend. The other girl clearly hasn't seen it. And she was like, oh, she told her, she was like, well, they can't erase his memories. So we kind of do this weird thing. I don't know. But that's what I'm saying. Like the beginning part is like, okay, it's clearly a flashback, but then what part isn't? But they're still watching it.
Well, here's my thing. Here's my theory about it. Like, I think because he's been watched for so long, especially studied by the creator of the show, he knows, he's kind of in his head about, he knows what he's going to do. He knows what he's thinking about. And he knows the amount of time he takes to think about things. Like, he's studied. Truman is the study.
No, I get it. What I'm saying is, like, the way it's edited is like, it's supposed to be a flashback that's part of the show, but then it feels like
parts of it's supposed to be in his head.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I think it perfectly coincides with the fact that they are in his head. They know he is reminiscing. He's reminiscing about the past and how he knows her and misses her and stuff like that.
Well, but then,
basically
so
everybody up.
It's this girl that he's dealing with, whatever her name is supposed to be.
Her name at first what they named her was Lauren.
There it is, Lauren, and then we find out her name is actually Sylvia. But here's the thing that kills me, because he's Googling at Sylvia, and they're both like making googly eyes at each other, and here comes Laura Linney just falling for no reason.
She's like, oh, my ankle.
All in his face. And then we see him at a dance, and it's like the same thing. She just shows up, and she's like, oh, what the hell? And then next thing you know, she's getting carted off. And it's like, how does she keep getting back in here then? You don't want her here.
I think she was getting warnings at first. It was like, like a job. It's like, okay, you keep doing that, you're gonna get fired or whatever.
But why? But if those were warnings, who were they warnings for? They couldn't have been to him.
I think probably warnings for her.
But that's what I'm saying. But it's so dumb, because it's not like anything. Like, okay, so all they're looking at each other at the beginning part, and then it's like, okay, we don't want her, we don't want him with her, we want him with her.
Because they probably knew they had the other girl already trained, ready for the part, and that's what they wanted. They didn't want somebody they couldn't control in that way.
You're wrong, because it would have been so much easier that way.
Well, of course.
It would have been more.
But he wanted to take things in the direction he wanted to take things.
Maybe they already went through a slew of people, and maybe she was one of them, and they, I'm
not gonna lie. At first, I thought it was supposed to be young Laura Linney, and I was like, "That's terrible. They could have picked somebody else." Because I was like, "That looks nothing like her." Then I realized it wasn't. So,
wow.
Then she showed up, and I was like, "Oh, okay, all right." Now
let's cut to the library scene. It's still in the flashback. They're in the library, and he noticed that she's sitting across from him, and he tries to talk to her, and she's being all weird, and she's like, I'm not supposed to talk to you. And he's like, hey, you want to go out sometime for pizza or something?
That's what I'm saying. So she knows she's not supposed to talk to him, and they control the whole situation. Why is she right there? Of all places, it doesn't make any sense.
Maybe she placed herself there because she's interested in him.
That's what I'm saying. She keeps sneaking back in. They keep kicking her out, and she's just
maybe I think she's probably like, she's anti-Truman Show the whole time, and she's trying to help get him out of there. And so she's like,
I believe so too. My thing is, like, I believe that too. My thing, I just want to know how she keeps getting back in there. She's clearly a cog in the wheel at one point who just stopped working, and now they let her back for the dance. That's times apart. It's not like it was the next day.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they had time to be like, get her out.
I think it's a situation where they're like, okay, look, play your part. This is not your part.
They should, after that dance, they should have got rid of her. This is clearly her doing espionage. But because she says that line that John, like she said, I'm not supposed to be talking to you, it's because they know she's there in that exact spot with that exact race. Yeah. None of it makes any sense for the show that's supposed to be
I think, I see what you're saying. is like just like planning to run over somewhere. They're with him the whole time. So
maybe she's like, oh no, cool. I won't talk to him. No, I won't talk to him no more.
Oh, but after he has that memory, remember when he's on that beach? Was that when he with her? When he ends up
goes to the beach,
rain comes down.
Well, he's like.
Oh yeah,
that's when he was reminiscing about his dad when the rain.
Yeah. Oh, okay. When the rain. Thing. Okay.
But no. With her, he's like, let's go out for pizza, and she's like, let's go now. She writes down now on a piece of paper, and so they act like they're leaving with the rest of the students out of the library or whatever, and they kind of both sneak off and they run to the beach, and he's having a little
like because it's this is where you can tell it's part of the show, right? So the camera is watching them, and then it loses them.
Yeah.
Right around the pillar, it loses them. You know what I mean? So that's part of the show. Then you see the camera trying to follow where they're going. So it's like, that's why I was like, how much of this is show and how much of this is like his memory? You know what I mean? Right. Like the way it's edited doesn't do a good job of telling you where it ends and begins in that sense. But
yeah,
here we are.
It's crazy because, you know, in the way back to him trying to justify and all these things and saying, you know, he could do whatever he wants, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, but it's clear, just like what happened then when they have the actor go there, like her dad, and, you know, she's schizophrenic and all of this stuff. And it's like, you're clearly, you're doing every guy here. Pretty diabolical manipulation that it looks extremely unethical.
But the thing is, it's 100% genius, right? You go there, she's telling you, hey, everything you know is a lie, blah, blah, blah. Even the sand is fake. And he's already kind of like, yo, what? And then this dude shows up and he's like, no, that's my daughter. She's schizo.
But because he heard that, remember when he was a kid and the guy jumps out of the present and he's like, it's fake. He said, you're on TV or something, he said. But he said, and I'm sure, so he's like connecting up like, huh?
You know, that's why it's like a slower burn. That's why it's like it takes till that rain incident one where he was just kind of like, okay. And he doesn't even say anything. Well, he tells his wife and she's just like, okay, giggle. Like she doesn't listen to him. And then there's the light falling, and then there's all these different little things where he's just like, this is odd. I know that it's not odd for me, apparently, but it's still kind of odd. Yeah. And I don't think the events themselves are odd as much as the way people are reacting to it around him is odd.
Right. Or like, not reacting.
Yeah, because it's one thing to be like, you know, the mom talking about the homeless thing was her thinking on her feet. They put it in the paper the next day. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, that's too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, this is his life.
So good. Cutting to when he's driving, he's doing his morning routine again, and he almost hits someone, and you hear the radio go, "Oh, be careful!"
No, it starts messing up too, and it's like it's like he's turning on this street, Lancaster, and he's like, I ain't turning on.
Yeah.
It starts to get weird, and this is when he doesn't go to work that day. He's just like, all right, hold up. He's about to go in. He goes around, and
because this is when now he's starting to look at everybody like, okay,
because he's
suspicious.
He doesn't go
everyone now.
Yeah, he doesn't.
And then I think that's when he goes home. He's sitting in the car, and she goes home.
It's before that too, because he starts kind of.
He goes to that the office, the building right next to his job.
He goes to the building.
Yeah,
and then he fight. Basically, it's craft services.
Where the elevator is supposed to be.
He pushes the elevator button and it opens, and it's like a whole little room. People are sitting, in chairs and stuff, and they're like, get him, and they're like, oh shoot.
And so when she comes and he tells her to get in a car, and he's telling her about that, and he's like, she was like, I know. And here we go again. Yes, it was No. That was later. That's right.
He goes to his friend who's working. He's because he's a vending machine packer or whatever, and he's doing it. And it's so funny because when he comes in and he's talking to him, he looks back or whatever, and he takes out two to make it look like he's still doing stuff. They're trying to make their job seem long.
Yeah, because that's acting. Like he has starting positions. You know what I mean? He was like, hey, heads up, he's on his way over there. So he's like, all right, fuck.
Hey, so think about this. How many times they have to be waiting, just being in position.
It's their job.
You were talking about the routine earlier. If everything goes according to schedule, you don't have to worry about that shit.
That's true. And then what was happening is, as time got on and he's starting to notice stuff, he's starting to do things that are not as predictable because he's tripping.
He said
they can't turn around. He goes.
Oh, because that's what he said. He goes, they can't watch me if I'm being. They don't know what I'm going to do if I'm being spontaneous. So he just turns around and does that clap, and he's just like, all right. I don't know if that's how that works, but
hey,
whatever, bro.
It makes sense why he was acting so weird like that. Because you'd be tripping too. You'd be like, look.
But I would have handled it a lot differently. It would have gotten violent faster. Like I wouldn't have been able to just like. He kept his cool, not ready to like act on anything yet, but I would have been like, yo, people are following me. I feel like I'm being watched. Everything is weird. Nah, son. This goes to the top. Wherever the city hall in the city is, I got to talk to somebody.
He's got those equations floating around.
Yeah. Like that lady off the meme.
Back into them in the car, and then that's when he's like, she was like, let's go. She's like, no. And then he backs out the car, like, and she's like, well, where are we going? And he's like,
yeah, it feels
that's when he's like, have an adventure or whatever. And she's like,
well, that's the thing, because what happens is it feels like they called her to try to help rectify the situation. So she's like, the dude with the trash can is waiting for her to come. He's like, all right, there she is. Let me go scoot it over here. And then he tells her, he was like, watch this. There's going to be a chick on a red bicycle, guy with some flowers and a dented up bug. And sure enough, it comes. And that's when they do the drive. And he's like, yeah, let's go on that adventure. He starts getting cray-cray.
Yeah, he starts driving. And he drives in a circle like really fast, and she's like, "You're making me sick." He's like, "Me too." and he drives forward, and suddenly traffic just goes in front of him.
Yeah. And then he's like, "Okay, well, I guess you're right."
Yeah.
What I was go back.
The scene
then
is
he goes, drives down the street, then turns around. He's like, "Where are you going?" Comes back. He's like, "Oh, look at that! No traffic all of a sudden."
It is.
Then they're driving down the road.
That happens in this scene, like.
Yeah.
Then he goes, it says something on the radio about a fire or something. And
no, it wasn't even on the radio. It was just a sign that they apparently just put up.
A strip of fire goes across the road.
Just random, just.
And that's the craziest part, because the sign is like wildfire. Be careful.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like,
before I think they already had that in place just in case. But before that, they're crossing the bridge, and he's scared to cross the bridge because it's over the water.
Oh yes.
And he's like, he closes his eyes, he's like, drive, and he just steps on the gas, and she's like, oh shoot.
Hey, but it's genius, right? You're not gonna let yourself die just to prove a point. Yeah, he's stepping on the gas with his eyes closed. You're
like, take the wheel.
You're gonna steer the car. Yeah, he do nothing. He knows.
He's like on the road.
They make it across the bridge.
They can make.
They make it across the bridge. They make it past the fire. And then what's the next hurdle? It's a hazard
incident.
It's a power plant that had a leak.
And then she said, there must have been a leak at the plant.
I'm like, really? You know that?
And then the guy comes up, whatever, state trooper, and he's like, yeah, there's a leak at the plant, whatever. And then whatever he says at the end, he was like, oh, okay, thanks, Truman. And he's like,
he runs out the car.
Because, and you know what? I half expected the entire movie for people to people who shouldn't know his name to say his name, and it never happened. And that one time it happened, I was like, that's exactly how you're supposed to respond. I'm like, you don't know me.
That tipped him off.
And he was like running.
He's like,
he ran off, tried to go into the woods, but those hazmat guys got him.
Yeah, then we did kind of skip a part because I thought it was funny, but he follows her to work that one day.
Oh, yeah.
And I find it hilarious because she has to go do surgery because of the elevator accident or whatever, the same elevator.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I don't ever want you going over there again. And it's like, they're doing fake surgery and they're messing it up because they couldn't stop it from going back there. Oh my God.
He's looking through the window, and the guy's
they
like,
were like terrified.
He's like, I'm gonna make my incision right here. He's like, oh God. They finally somebody closed it and said, all right, get out of here. But it's so funny. He's like, all right, I'm gonna get somebody to clean that up.
Yeah, go get somebody to clean that up. It was just so dumb. But I feel like the biggest problem with what they did with this is if you're going to do this and this sounds bad because I already have the solution figured out in my head. But if you're going to do a show where you're basically trying to base it around someone's life like that, you don't hire actors. You hire professionals to live in the town. Right?
That made me think about something.
You don't have to fake any doctor visits. You don't have to fake a guy who doesn't know how to drive.
That's what I'm saying. But my thing is, what about like all the checkups he needed when he was a kid? Like if he got cancer, they didn't have real people to diagnose him.
And that's what I'm saying. Just hire doctors. Hire doctors. Pay them. Let them live there. Have a community. Basically make it so it's still a place that they can be. They can leave if they need to go on vacation.
And you're paying actors anyway.
That's what I'm saying. Doctors go on vacations all the time. You don't have any real bus drivers. You don't have any real loan guys.
What is he doing? What
is his job? Because
he did that on purpose.
But that's what But he's also apparently the boat driver. Why? Why don't you have a guy driving?
I'm a bus driver.
I just drive the bus, man. What do you want me to
do? He didn't even drive a bus.
But it's like, and it doesn't make any sense to have his wife play a nurse when she's not a nurse. She could have been anything. It could have been so many other things. But also, a nurse who does surgery. You know what I mean?
Well, no, she's just a surgical nurse.
So she said
she was supposed to be doing surgery.
She said she was doing surgery. That's what she told him, and he doesn't know any better because he doesn't know.
That's all.
No reason you're lying about weird stuff. They don't have Google. Like, what do you want them to do? Like, it's so easy.
Let's get to the part where they come back. This is after the situation where he's went crazy and tried to run out the car and stuff like that. They bring him back. And then the cops, you could tell they're acting all excited, like, "Ooh, that's Truman, that's Truman," But they're just looking, they're just eyeballing him and stuff like that, and give him a warning. And she starts trying to go back to normal, and then she does this weird ad.
This is the Cocoa ad.
Cocoa or something like that, Cocoa mix or something. And he's like, "Who are you talking to?"
This is the best.
He said, "Who are you talking to?"
He's like, "Are you listening to me? What is that for? Who are you talking to?" Yeah, it's like. And then she breaks character. She's like, help, get me out of here.
Well, she gets scared and she picks up that knife she was advertising at first or whatever. And she's like, stay away from me. And he grabs her from behind and he's got the knife right there. And she's like, somebody do something. And he's like,
no.
Oh, no, because that's when Marlon comes in. And once again, he comes in, beers first, labels out. And she's like, oh my God, I can't keep working like this. It's so unprofessional. And he's like, shut up. Because she's like, he's right there. You know what I mean? She's gone.
So then he talks to him again.
And then this is when the dad comes back mysteriously. It is.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the first time you get to see how it's in the studio. And it's like they're congratulating him and
well, because they made it a whole dramatic scene. He made sure the music was right and everything. Fog was in there and stuff. He hugged his dad. He's really feeling all these emotions and stuff. Little does he know that this is all staged.
How do you not know that though? Where that fall came out of nowhere.
Not
even this. That you could take all that away. There's just one thing that does not happen in real life.
What?
They had to have been there talking and doing all that stuff for at least maybe 30, 45 minutes.
Right. His dad was just waiting
in the wings.
Huh?
Like, was his dad just waiting in the wings the whole time? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Pretty much. He was waiting for his cue.
But that makes sense for acting. That doesn't make sense for real life.
For real life, right. Just
he was like, you know what? You were right. Your dad is alive. And there he is. Like, what are you doing, idiot?
That's pretty obvious.
If I found out that I was still alive and my son was right over there, I'm not going to wait for you. But you know what I'm saying? It doesn't.
I think that probably for him, he could probably ignore all that stuff. He's seeing his dad
there, but he's not thinking about any of this stuff. So, but still, like, It's bad writing.
Because to him, that was his dad, for real, for real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Messed up. That's messed up because honestly, I kind of felt
right?
this scene.
Is that psychological terror? And
yeah, I felt him because he was feeling it. He's like, my dad. He's like freaking, and little does he know, everybody's like, woo.
Was the lady who plays his mom his actual mom?
Huh?
No,
like, no. Later on in the movie, they adopted him. Explains that
So what happened to the mother?
No, they explained that it was an unwanted pregnancy. He was one of 5 unwanted pregnancies that were in competition.
He came first based on the time they wanted to premiere.
So whack.
And they were the first corporation to adopt a baby, I guess.
Oh yeah, okay, I do remember that now because it's terrible. Oh my god. Oh well, because it comes right after this. When they get into the expose and they're like,
anyway, after that is when he goes to the travel agent, right?
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Right after the dad comes and they're congratulating him and basically stroking this dude off for such his creative genius. They go into this expose where they're asking him about the Truman Show. They're like, hey, oh man, how did it come about? And it says you have this many cameras. And then he gets the call from Sylvia. And she's like, yo, son, this shit is wrong. And he was like, no, you can't tell me what to do. I'm Ed Harris and I do what the hell I want. He's got
and she's saying, she's like, you're keeping him
he's like, he can go basically. I just make it, in other words, appealing so he doesn't feel he needs to go anywhere.
He was saying he can leave at any time, which is not true because he has attempted to leave so many times, but you made it so he doesn't really have choices.
As far as we know, he's only really attempted to leave once. He's thought about leaving, but they keep taking the idea out of his head.
They literally stopped him. They grabbed him up and brought him back home.
The one time he tries to leave, they can't stop him. So he's full of crap. Yeah, he's full of crap.
Yeah.
But it's funnier too because he's just like, he's so holier than thou about it. Like he's just like, hey, the world is a tough place. I'm giving him the only real normal life there is. And it's like, how?
They got the perfect guy to play him because he made it pretty believable.
Ed Harris.
He's always, he's
like,
he can play pretty diabolical.
That's why I was like,
it's like making diabolical look normal. Like to him, you look at him and he's like, I don't see the problem. I'm doing the service for him. Basically.
Dude is apathetic as hell. He's just like,
yeah.
What do you want to do?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, they're talking about this, and they got a little corner camera or whatever, still showing Truman and stuff like that.
Drinking the cocoa, by the way.
Yeah.
It's so weird. They're showing the people who are watching. We've seen the security guards.
Yeah, we got Paul Giamatti.
No, I'm talking about the people who are watching this weird dude.
The old lady lesbian on the couch.
The dude in the tub.
The guy in the tub,
I thought that too, John, of the old lady lesbians. I thought that too. I was like,
they could have been sisters they were spinster women.
It's whatever. It's hard to tell with old white ladies because they all kind of look alike at a certain age. So it's like, they could have been sisters. They could have been lovers.
They're old lady lesbians.
Friends. They could have been cousins. Nobody knows. I think the story is more fun if they are old lady lesbians.
My God.
I don't know. It just made it interesting. It just showed a wide variety of people are watching this show.
Right.
That are stuck on it.
The bathtub is the one who bothers me the most.
Showing it. It's like it's a worldwide phenomenon. The Truman Show.
And the people, I don't know where they're at. I think they were Asian.
Yeah, they were Asian. I think they were watching in a whole nother country. So
No, they said it's an answer, and all these countries.
I feel like this show has been on, according to them, for 30
years. Yeah,
I call absolute bullshit on the ratings because this has to get boring. Until recently, the show has been boring.
Have you seen what people watch? And that's still popular?
But here's the thing. Even with reality TV or anything, the show, any TV show, no matter how boring it is. I've watched Jag. Jag is boring, but they try to make it interesting by adding in things here to happen, things here to happen.
Right.
It's so boring. There's nothing we can do about that, but it is what it is.
Well, with this show, it makes it not boring because you're seeing somebody grow up. You're seeing somebody go through different stages of life. So it gets more interesting. Him getting married, that was like a big event.
That's what I'm saying. Those events would have high ratings. Everything else would be like.
And that's the thing.
I'm not watching this dude.
They did that because if the ratings started to go, they saw them falling, then they would do something. And that's probably why they were trying to get this baby making thing going.
Hey, that's crazy though. When I think about it,
big thing.
She was willing to get pregnant for the sake of.
How sad is that?
Wait, this is a whole. Okay, now this is a whole different thing. When he finds out that this isn't real, does that make it rape? Because it's not. He didn't consent to any of this, really. You know what I mean?
Oh, like, okay. One part we skipped. This is when him and his wife were still together, right? And he's looking at pictures with his mom and his wife, old pictures. And he's going through, and they walk away to go talk about something or help in the kitchen. And he looks at the wedding pictures again, and he sees something I guess he's never seen before. But he's trying to analyze things more. He's analyzing.
No, that's when he saw she had her fingers crossed. When they
were getting married, she had her fingers crossed.
Why? What is that? What does that mean?
You know, that's not for real. You know, just
why do it? It doesn't make any sense.
But I'm saying, that's what people do. Like, oh yeah, I'll do this for you, and they'll have their fingers crossed behind their back. That's a thing.
I get that, but it's symbolic at best. It's not a binding contract.
But basically, the minister or whoever they used was probably fake, so they probably aren't married.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, but my whole thing is like, even in cartoons, they're like, "Hey, we need you to do this," and they're like, "Okay," and you'll see him have his fingers crossed behind him. For what? If you're gonna double cross somebody, he's not gonna. You can't be like, "Well, I have my fingers crossed." Like, oh, well, he did have his fingers crossed, so it's all good.
I think at certain points, some people really
that was like, you know, there's certain things have rules. Like we talk about dibs, you know, them's the rules.
First off, dibs is binding by law. You have to respect dibs and rock, paper, scissors. If you don't, like, jail is immediate. I'm telling you, I'll never forget when we were in Vegas and all the gas pumps were filled. Daniel yells out the window, "Dibs," and everybody respected it and just moved out the way. I'm not even kidding. The nigga called dibs, and everybody was just like,
honestly, that's the way it should be.
It's dibs. He called dibs. Nobody else called it. He called dibs.
But there was a point in time that people really did believe in the crossing of the fingers.
Yeah. No, I remember kids in school used to do that all the time. Okay, no, I was crossing my fingers. But
it's so dumb. But you just said it. When kids do it, it's fine, right? We're talking about an adult whose whole job is to manipulate this man. He's not gonna know. He's not gonna be like, "Well, she did have her fingers crossed, I guess."
Well, but look how he reacted when he saw it.
Because it was a clue to something that didn't need to be.
Maybe she assumed that it was just so minute of a thing that she did that he would never ever notice, that nobody would ever notice.
It's so dumb. It's the same thing as like when white supremacists put up that little white supremacy sign in all their pictures. Just because it's below the waist doesn't mean nobody's gonna notice. Like, everybody on the internet is a sleuth. What are you doing? It's just a dumb thing.
Exactly. They're all investigative reporters.
That's what I'm saying, because everything in there was fake, and you could hear the lies there when they're like, "Oh, look at our trip to Mount Rushmore. You slept the whole time."
Like, this is a little small, don't they?
Well, everything does when she turned that picture quick. Everything does when you take it from afar. I'm like, no. This is terrible Photoshop.
Oh my God!
Getting back to where we were at in the story, they were talking about things. At this point, Truman's going back to his normal life without his wife. You know, he's saying good afternoon, good evening, good night to his neighbors.
What's his name? Ed Harris basically was like, "Oh, next episode, we're going to write her off."
I was like, he said he's going to introduce a new love interest.
Right. Oh, that's the one that came to the job.
Mm-hmm.
And that never amounted to anything either.
No.
But, okay.
Because I think by then, you know, he was just acting like they wanted him to act at that point. And he was like, no. But I think right there, he already had his mind made up what he was going to do.
Oh, yeah.
And he just didn't. He wanted to look like what they think is normal for him.
He lulled them into a false sense of security, essentially. He does, you know, now you get to see more of the production because now you have Paul Giamatti and his underling, I guess. They're watching the whole thing and all that other stuff. They're controlling it. And they'd be like, oh, he's just been in his basement sleeping.
Yeah, I guess ever since his wife left him, he's been going down to the basement to sleep. And so he's like, they're monitoring the cameras. You know, it's got him under the blanket or whatever. And they're just like, he's been sleeping. And Christoph goes, turn on the sound, and snoring and stuff like that. And he's like, go have his friend check on him or whatever.
No, she was like, call him. She had the guy call him first. He was like, call him. Just tell him it's a wrong number. And he never picks up. And then that's when they were like, Marley, go sit in Marlon, whatever his name is.
Yeah, Marlon. Yeah. And then he goes, again with that beer.
The fat labels
right?
out.
Every time, without fail. He goes, checks on him. It turns out he's just got this makeshift thing to look like somebody laying there.
So I think he had an endorsement for that particular product.
He had to. He had to.
He was making a big bucks because they were like,
that was his own personal endorsement. Yeah.
He checks on him. He's not there.
Once again, while everyone else is about to go into panic mode, Marlon is the only one who's still calm until he can't be anymore.
Right.
Just like he comes in, he was like, surprise party, buddy. Hey, what's going on? Because even Ed Harris is like, that's good. Keep it light. He was like, I know what I'm doing, nigga. I'm a professional. Like, get off my back.
I've been doing this the whole time.
It's like, I know what I'm doing. They don't need your directions.
He's like, I literally been doing this since I was a kid. Okay. I got this.
Hello.
It's really crazy, but yeah.
How do you retire off that? Like, what do you do with that money? Where's he going? He has to be 24/7 just for stupid shit like this.
Yeah.
It's their life. They explain that this is their life.
Yeah. Must be like some crazy back pay when you finally when your character gets killed off or something like that. Like Meryl, she must be coming back to some very, very good checks.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, the royalties are there.
They got checks because they didn't have to spend no money living.
That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying. Like, it's not like you were taking your check and doing stuff. Yeah. She was doing nothing.
Yeah. So they just stacking.
I guess they
money.
Just write this.
At the beginning, they were doing those interviews, right?
Uh-huh.
When the hell did they have time for that? Or is this supposed to be like
when he's at work?
But even you have to be on call 24/7 just in case.
But they're probably not far. They're probably in that craft service area.
She still has a little outfit on and stuff. You know, she still looked like her
in the surgery room.
I was about to say, bro, like you.
They got everybody in positions just to make sure that I
don't know if I do it.
And then he made daytime happen.
Oh, when they were searching for him. So at this point, they realized he went through a hole or whatever that went to his front lawn or whatever.
A whole Shawshank hole, like it was crazy.
This the first time he broke character or whatever, and he looks into the camera, and while it's still filming, and he goes, "I don't know where he's at" or whatever, and he's like, "Shut transmission," boop, and it goes off. I guess for the first time in 30 years, and everybody's like. All the people watching, they're freaking out.
Which is sad. That in itself is super sad because it's it's one thing to be like, all right, we all have a show that we love that might have just ended abruptly and we'd be like, fuck, man, well,
because you know what happened? It's been playing continuously commercial
24/7.
That's how I would feel. Like I wouldn't be the exact same, but if ESPN or CNN just stopped, I wouldn't be like.
But it's not but this is different. This is documenting somebody's life, and there's people who want to know. I mean, just like people who watch the Kardashian show or whatever, they want to know if that played without ending, without commercial, without going off. People would be probably upset.
This is your chance to go find a life.
They don't want that. They're interested in other people's lives.
And that is terrible. That is absolutely.
That's the truth.
It is, but that's what makes me so insane. That's why I hate celebrity culture. Their problems are bigger than our problems, but our problems are the same. We don't have that kind of coverage. You know what I mean?
We don't have no coverage.
I'm not about to feed into anybody
except whatever you post.
That's what I'm saying. And I'm not gonna feed into anybody else's issues when this is happening to us. You got this.
Hey, I'm being honest. I probably get sucked up. I get sucked up. I got sucked up into those Kardashians too for a second. I was like, dang, I need to know what they're gonna do next.
Yo, you want to hear something sad? Me and Daniel were chilling. This is when he was still in Fontana. We were at the crib. We were in the room just watching TV, and it changed from, I forgot what we were watching, but it changed from the Kardashians, and it was a marathon. And both of us were too lazy to get up. We ended up watching like 6 episodes straight, bro. And we were just like, and I promise you, I've never watched it again because I couldn't. You know what I mean? No. But I know that.
I got caught up. That's how I got caught. I was watching. I like that show Botched.
It's like the train wreck. You just can't look away.
I like that show Botched.
We were just too lazy to get up.
You guys ever seen that show Botched on E or whatever, where the doctors
and it was gross.
Yeah, and I love watching that stuff. And it come on after, and sometimes I just be sitting there and I just be like, and then I got caught up.
Me and Dad got caught up in Millionaire Matchmaker, like that you would never expect yourself to be watching. I told you, I went through a soap opera phase. Like I watched all that shit.
You get emotionally invested.
And you know what? That's a good point. What you just said about soap operas. Now, honestly, if I think about it, forget whether it's real or not, but that is the same overall format that keeps you there, the soap opera, because it's like it is continuing incrementally. It's not just episodic.
And it's not even good. That's the worst part.
It's just going. And the only difference is they have commercials. But this is the concept of that. And that's how it just keeps you like, what's going to happen in the next minute?
Because I promise
you left the soap opera. It's like it stopped, right?
No, whatever.
How we lose him?
Let's go on.
What do you call it? The moderator.
Oh man, I don't know what happened. But,
I was like, how we lose you? And we're still here.
What I was saying is, because you were talking about soap operas, I was like, you're 100% right. This is the exact same formula. And what's worse is because the acting here is so bad, the acting in soap operas is also so bad.
Yeah.
And that's what I said. I didn't watch
yet, but I'm telling you, it is so true. It's horrible acting. But it didn't matter because I was in deep for years. Okay, man, years until I couldn't figure out how to program a damn VCR.
I will. You be thinking, you be getting emotionally invested. Like, what's gonna happen when she finds out he cheated on her?
From the time I was at least 11 until friggin' we moved to Covina. That's how deep soap operas were for me. But what I'm saying is that concept, bad acting in tow. It doesn't matter because it takes you up to a moment. So like whatever happens right there, okay, bam. You like, oh God, I gotta wait till tomorrow. Tomorrow, guess what? They were right there. They're gonna start right there. And then they're gonna, it's that same thing.
And it's so bad because you know how you could always tell because TV does this all the time too, where it's like when they come back from commercial and they repeat the last thing they said, but it's in like a different camera angle. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. This is people just, but that break, you need it. Once that thing was like, hey, Truman Show, the experience of difficulties, bro, let me know when it's back. But I gotta go real quick. I'm not gonna watch this.
They're just in their life.
That dude fell asleep in the tub.
He did. I'm surprised he didn't slip down.
He is dead. Like he's a ghost. We're watching a ghost. That guy drowned that night. I'm sure the whole lesbian.
I'm concerned. He must have been wrinkly as hell.
For real. So they like looking around. They like call the cast and crew, and they're calling. And she's like, "Oh, how you doing? Why all the fuss? All he has to do is hear his mother, Truman. Truman."
And then his dad calls out, "Truman, it's your dad."
Typical man. He was just like, "Let me try. I got this. You're not saying it right. Let me say it differently."
And it's crazy because they what they talk about, what he mentions is it's the biggest set ever created. It's a whole dome.
And stuff. Ugh, disgusting.
Yeah, that was a piece of something. It's a whole dome or whatever, and so he's like, "Bring the light out," and they bring the sun out. Like he literally makes the sun.
Bring the daytime in the middle of the night.
He was like, "What time is it?" He was like, "It's too early for that." He was like, "She was like, I know what you're thinking." He was like, "Yeah, just bring the sun out." And then they're all like, well, "What time is it?" What the fuck? Like, he was like, "Everybody get the starting position. Maybe he'll just show up," and he doesn't. And then they're like,
"That's gonna do it." Here comes the sun.
And it was a thing. He kept saying, "Oh, I'm one step ahead of him," but he was like, "We didn't check the sea." It was like, duh, and that's the one place he is. And
it was so unpredictable of him to do that, though, which is why they didn't check.
Part about that,
100%.
Oh my God! Then he's like, after he ain't going back. He's like, okay, hit him with the storm.
Where did he get the outfit?
Everybody was questioning him.
Are we just gonna ignore the fact that he has a captain's outfit?
Oh.
The Truman. I was like, where did he get that? Where did he have the time?
In the flashback when his dad died or whatever in that first accident or whatever, he had a captain's hat.
Oh yeah, he did.
Where did he get it from? The moment he rolled out and Shawshanked his way out of his house,
he probably had it in that chest and probably snuck it out with him.
That's convenient as hell. But this is the part when they were like, get the boats, and they was like, I drive a bus. He was like, what the hell you want me to do?
I'm not. I think he was just like, I ain't helping y'all no more.
You said he was like, they can't do anything. They're actors.
Yeah.
You didn't hire anybody who.
But you remember, even with the bus scene, when that happened, he was like, "Sorry, son." I think to me, it feels like he really was like feeling bad.
He did, because the way he said, he was like, "I'm sorry," and it just walked off like I can't face him.
Yeah.
The little girl was like, "Mom," he was like, "Shut your mouth."
Yeah.
But they didn't have any real people to try and go get him. So his best bet was just bring the storm on. And it's messed up because everybody's questioning his mind. They're like, you're gonna end up killing him. He's like, I don't care, increase the storm.
He said you're gonna kill him on live TV. He's like, he was born on live TV.
I was like, yo,
okay. This guy's psycho.
This is a movie where one of your interns punches him because he's going too far. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that has to happen. But nothing happens to this guy. Nothing. Yeah. And as far as I know, the only thing that happens to him at the end of this is he loses the star of his show. He'll probably still get to work.
Know, but he should have been
like that, whatever contract.
But I love how he thinks he's convincing him. After he takes him through a storm and tries to kill him,
tries to kill him,
then he tries to get into his, try to appeal to him emotionally. And, I was there when you were born.
Let's talk about before he appeals to emotionally. What happens is he runs into a wall. Finally, he gets through the storm and he's yelling at the sky. He's like, "I live," or whatever, and then boom. He runs into this wall. It's a wall with painted clouds, the painted sky, makeshift. And he's like, what the? He's feeling, and he's getting mad. And in this scene, like, I kind of felt emotional because it's like he's angry. He's like, dang it, I am trapped in here. He's like hitting the wall and stuff like that. He's emotional. He's like, he knows that it's all fake. He knows that it's all fake now. And he walks with his leg around the wall.
He became a searchlight.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. But there's walls that block him. He knows he's in a whole
that's like
world.
Like when he becomes a searchlight, that's a little up. Like being inside of like where everybody's an actor and stuff like that, not realizing that the weather is fake is a whole nother set of technology we haven't even hit by that point.
That's true.
And how big is this dome?
It has to be huge.
Well, it's like a whole soundstage.
Well, they showed it.
Like movies. What do you call it? Like over there, see, and it wasn't by mistake. His name was Burbank because a lot of the movies,
Hollywood, yeah.
Studio, they're in Burbank.
And
so, like the Animaniacs, that's where they're talking. That's over.
Yeah. Burbank.
Yeah. So that a lot of them are huge. They can do whole like cities, in there. Yeah. So
And so at this point, he sees stairs. He walks up them. He sees a door. It says exit on it. And he's looking. He's kind of looking at it, and he's like a little hesitant, and he's about to walk in, and that's when Christoph, his voice, he decides to go over this big intercom, talking to him, kind of like in a God voice.
Yeah,
I was gonna say that because that's the arrogance of this character as a whole.
Exactly. And he's like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "I'm the creator of this world."
When I get out of here and I find you,
it's so crazy. He's so psycho. He's like, he's got, he's looking at the camera on the screen or whatever, and he's like petting him. He's like, "Oh, Truman."
It's so weird. But he did that once before too when he was sleeping. He walks by and he pets the.
I mean, if you think about it, he could have some kind of attachment to him because
he has the same attachment as a creator would. Like when you create something, it's your baby, it's your project, everything. That's what that is, and it's disgusting.
He's put his whole heart, soul, and life into it.
Yeah.
And it's all hinging in this moment. So now he's gonna try to, and he's like, "You can't go," after he's saying all that because he stopped. He's like, "Well, say something," and that's when he said. That's when he comes around. He's like, "Well, if I don't see you,
good afternoon, good night."
Yeah.
And then he walks out.
That's a pretty good way to end.
And then I was like, "Wait, home chick."
She started putting on clothes and running out like she was right there.
She rented an apartment right outside the
she was waiting for a moment. She knew what was up. She rented that. They couldn't stop her. What are they gonna do?
No, I mean, no.
That's so crazy. Like she ain't got nothing to do. She ain't got a job or something.
She's probably like one of the lead activists because we do find out that there is like a free Truman thing. Like when he's doing the interview, he's like, "You have a very vocal minority," which is usually how it is. But I mean, they're not wrong. This shit is fucked up.
Yeah,
incredibly.
It's just a crazy, concept. But I always think when you see stuff in movies,
it's truth. There's truth to it.
Somebody thought about this.
Before you got back on, me and Jonna had just said that if this movie didn't come out, I 100% believe that somebody would have tried to do something like this already. I 100% believe that.
I wouldn't doubt it. I'm telling you,
I feel like
people are nuts.
This movie came out.
People are narcissistic, and just the arrogance of. I was reading something. This funny thing to say where somebody was saying something about. I was looking at the comments in that post that you were looking at with Trevor Noah, and because you had said something on that feed, about what he had said, and everybody was saying stupid stuff in the comments. But one thing, somebody said something about somebody else who said some dumb comment. He said, "This is a guy who likes his own post, and he's a fan on his OnlyFans page." It's like,
what? Who said that?
There was somebody in the comments, but they were talking about somebody else commenting because something they said. In other words, it's like they have no life, so they'll like their own post, or and it's people because of this society that we're in right now, the way it's being made so everything is about you. You gotta project your life onto everyone in a way that so it's like that. So I'm saying this is the perfect time for that kind of thing, but thank God this movie has come out because I mean, because now it's something that is shown and it looks psycho.
some crazy creative director has been like,
this means that they will be more thoughtful about how this could come out, because it could come out them being criminally liable.
Oh no, yeah, you couldn't do it now. Like here's the thing. I feel like somebody, some guys.
It's like trafficking.
Well, even still though, because you write the right kind of contracts and all kinds of stuff, you can find a loophole to anything.
True.
But what it's going to come down to is, will people get behind that? Because I feel like because this movie came out, we're looking at it. We can see it. This is a bad thing.
Well,
you know what I mean? You can't do it now because too many people who aren't introduced to it the way the world was in that world aren't gonna see it that way. We're gonna see it like, yo, we saw this movie, bro.
I'm gonna be honest, because like hearing Christoph in the movie talk about how justified he is about this, about doing this. I mean, I was almost convinced. He's like, I gave him a life. He's grown up here and stuff like that. I'm like, well, he did right good
because he was an unwanted pregnancy or
but
whatever.
You didn't give him a choice, and that's a different thing. He doesn't. It's not like you didn't give him a life because
he didn't get free will.
He didn't get that. No, he took that away from him. So it's not. You're not his savior. We don't know what could have happened to him. For all we know, he could have been a president somewhere. You don't know.
Right. But in a real life.
Yeah, you robbed that from him for your show.
Exactly.
You didn't give him much of a life. This dude wants to go to Fiji and he can't because you've done everything in your power to make him scared to travel or all kinds of stuff. Like, it's not like you're giving him places. Get out of here.
Yeah, that's been his desire to travel since he was a kid.
Yeah.
And that's messed up. You took that away from him.
So
think about how crazy. Hold on, just real quick. Just think about how crazy that is, though, because you're right, John. It's been his desire to travel. So the one thing they do is kill his dad in a boating accident, so that he's scared of the ocean. Like, it's insane.
Well, I mean, that was the narcissistic thing, and like, oh, you know, he wants to travel, but that's not going to work good for my show. So, cut him off.
Therefore, it's not good for him.
Let's traumatize him. Like, that's
pretty traumatizing, right? You took your dad out to sea because you wanted to explore, and then he died.
Yeah, it's essentially what happened to Moana's dad's best friend. It's the same thing. He was scared to go into the ocean after that. Like, come on, man. He's a big dude.
Right.
You know what I'm
saying? So you've seen Moana,
of course,
like 100 times. What are you talking about?
All right. So, did Jonna meet the challenge?
Yes.
I'm going to say yes.
I say yes. I don't think
it definitely has some parts that, you know, are funny. But again, I wouldn't call it the comedy. So
I don't think this is a comedy. I think
you did good.
I think the parts that are funnier because the actors are funny, and then the situations are funny on the outside looking in. Like dad popping up out of the blue. Like I laugh because I'm like,
the advertisements.
The advertisements. But then again, they're not supposed to be funny. They just happen to be.
No, they're just showing it's just showing the ridiculousness of it all, and how you get somebody who has no idea and do just about anything. And they did.
All right, so
good job, Jonna.
Let's do our final thoughts. I will go ahead and rock this one off first. I give this movie a 8 out of 10. I've always really liked this movie. I think it's an interesting take. It wasn't super long, which is good. There was no twist, which I liked. The idea that he's in a show was already given at the very beginning of this movie.
Yep.
We didn't have to find out later on some stupidness. Like, this is better. This is much better.
I agree with that.
So this one for me, 8 out of 10. Highly recommend. Everybody should watch this.
Yeah. I would say yes. I'll give it that. I'll give it an 8.5. Just a little more. But it is a movie I've always liked. It's just like wow. Just looking at the extent that they went to create a so unrealistic world, but made it someone's reality while actors were walking around on the job. You know, their job, they weren't living life. They were just doing stuff. Like, let's say, first position, just craziness. So it was interesting to see and look at it, a mind that would create all of this in order to pull off the ultimate reality show. So it was definitely a good one. It was good to see it again.
Okay, so my turn as the chooser of this movie. I'm going to take it up a notch. I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10, mostly because it's not the typical concept that's been done a million times in movies and stuff like that. Good actors. I like the acting, and honestly, it's just an intriguing concept all around. And I think more people should watch it if they're any fans of Jim Carrey. And it's not even a typical Jim Carrey kind of movie, but it's good with him in it.
Yeah.
It fit well. So 9 out of 10, recommend highly. So,
Cool, Beanage. So next week there will be no episode. We will be celebrating 2 birthdays.
That's right.
Our co-host, little Miss Jonna.
This guy right here.
Jay right there. And my daughter and a
little Amira.
Little birthday twins.
My daughter Amira, she will be celebrating her 8th birthday, and we will be having adventures.
Where?
No. Oh yeah. Not.
No. Oh, having adventures. Okay. When we come back, the month will be April, and we already kind of talked about it because Jonna has never seen the Brady Bunch movie. We're gonna get in there. This is going to be the challenge. The challenge is movies TV movies based on TV shows with families. So they have to be centered around.
That's so specific.
That is so specific. It's a challenge. Golly, lady.
That's so. Oh my god.
Why not? There were a lot of families in
TV.
You're
doing too much.
Really?
Oh my god, I could rattle off 4 off the top of my head.
Okay, don't do it. Okay, fine. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. I gave you one.
Movies based off TV show. Basically, movies based off a family TV show.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha. Got it. The challenge. We'll do it. We'll do it.
So we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. Thank you all for rocking with us as usual.
Yeah.
Yep. I got nothing.
Damn it. Come up with something, damn it. Every time I forget until we get to this moment. Like I want to sing something or shout it.
Editing. I am also putting videos out.
I don't know about that.
So you come up with something. Doing all the work here.
Oh God, I gotta come up with a jingle.
You have a guitar in the background. You better jingle your way into this.
You have to get your guitar out.
Oh. I gotta get back up. Where is it? I gotta get back on that.
Right behind you. All right. So on that note, family out. Laters.
Bye.